College football and Colorado football, more importantly, is right around the corner. I'm going to talk about my biggest concern and some other people's biggest concern about the Buffs ahead of the season on today's episode of Locked On Buffs.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba, as you can see right there. If you can't see because you're listening, I appreciate you as well. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about my biggest concern and some other people's biggest concern about Colorado. We're going to talk about some more Travis Hunter preseason hype, and then Matt Rhule had some comments about Coach Prime. So I'm going to discuss those and how he's good for college football. Kind of a rare compliment, I feel like, for Coach Prime from another coach. But before we move on, I need you guys to know that this episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, let's dive in. We're going to talk about the biggest concern. Couple things. First of all, I talked about it yesterday when I had Jamie Plunkett on from 24/7 to talk about TCU. Saw a few comments that you guys wanted me to kind of like go after him about certain takes and stuff. The goal of previewing a matchup is to not, this isn't first take where I'm going to be like, okay, this is wrong, or whatever. We're not here to argue. He was here to provide expertise. He's at TCU's practice every single day. He has connections in and around the TCU program, so I wanted to get his take. I'm sorry if you guys disagree with him, but he's obviously on the ground there, so I just wanted to hear his thoughts. And then secondly, I brought up the offensive line as a weakness, and it seemed to upset a lot of you guys. And then lo and behold, this morning I wake up to an article written by 24/7 Sports, Adam Monster Tiger, excuse me. His last name still gives me troubles. He talked about his biggest concern. 24/7 did a thing where they had everybody who covers the Pac-12 team, so Stanford, Utah, whoever it may be. They talked about what their biggest concern for the team was, and his was the offensive line and keeping Shedeur Sanders healthy. And so I'll read you what he said, and then I'll break down my thoughts in general. His concern was that while Shedeur Sanders has gotten the offense quickly and has found his favorite 4 targets, obviously quarterbacks are not able to be hit during spring practices or fall practices either, for that matter. So when the season starts and defensive lines can actually take your head off and stuff like that, will the Colorado offensive line hold up and protect him and prevent him from being injured? Because obviously their quarterback situation behind Shedeur is shaky at best. So this is what he said. Shedeur Sanders has quickly picked up Sean Lewis's up-tempo offense, and game chemistry with a handful of talented receivers, Jamie Horn, Xavier Weaver, Javon Antonio, and two-way star Travis Hunter. His performance this preseason has been head and shoulders better than any other quarterback in Colorado's recent history. But Sanders obviously hasn't been live in practice. What will happen when those live bullets start flying? Behind Sanders, the Buffaloes have 2 walk-ons and 2 true freshmen on the depth chart. So obviously there's some inexperience there, and obviously there's another person that shares my concerns for the offensive line. If that's not enough, because obviously you guys are some people, not you, all of you, but some people just aren't buying into the offensive line not being a strength of the team, and it's okay. It's okay to be optimistic, but it's also okay for me to present the facts, which is what I'm going to do. According to PFF, who grades player performances, Colorado has, of their tackles and guards, they have they have no players that ranked within the top 50 last season. Their highest ranked offensive lineman at a guard or tackle position was Tyler Brown, who, as of 5 days ago, we don't even know if he's going to be eligible for the season. We're still awaiting the NCAA's we're still awaiting their approval on his eligibility. And so obviously that's kind of a concerning number. Let me bring up the number for Van Wells, because he had a very solid grade, and I don't want you guys to say I'm just nitpicking here, but here's the thing. They have a lot of guys who have experience, but I'm going to go over their grades just as soon as I bring up Van Wells' grade, and so that way we can just see it in its entirety. So Van Wells ranked 248th or in total. His grade for the run block was 50.5. Pass blocking was 67.9, which is good. That's their pass blocking grade are a lot better. It's the run blocking grades where all these guys have been docked. So Savion Washington, pass blocking grade 78.9, run blocking grade 71.4. He is the only player on this entire unit, transfer, old player, new player, whatever it may be, that has a grade in both pass blocking and run blocking in the 70s. Gerard Christian Lachotin, I don't know how to say his last name, but we'll go with Gerard Christian. You guys know who he is, the 6'10 guy that they call the Mountain. His overall grade was 56. His pass blocking grade was 48.7. His run blocking grade was 58.9. He gave up tied for the most sacks last season on the team. And realistically, he could have a chance to improve. It's his junior year, so he could improve. Frank Phillip, we got 52.5 for the pass block, 52.7 for run. Landon Beebe, who is probably has a good chance of starting, I would say, or will at least be a rotational guy. 47.5 for the pass block, 58.3 for the run block. And then we go over to the guards. Tyler Brown, like I said, best grade, 78.7 for the pass blocking, 63.6 for run. Jack Bailey, who's a guy who has experience in Sean Lewis's offense, 74.7 in the pass blocking, and then 58.7 in the run block category. And then, if just in case I didn't say it, Van Well, 67.9 pass block, 50.5 for the run block. So I think there's a lot to. Obviously, these numbers aren't great. You would like to see more guys. Because here are their ranks nationally, by the way. I don't think I said those. Savion Washington, 70. Pretty good. Gerard Christian, 430. Landon Beebe, 503rd. Then Tyler Brown, 221st. Jack Bailey, 320th. And Tommy Brown, 331st. So they have one lineman that ranks within the top 100. And obviously, they brought in some JUCO guys who were not on PFF database, so those guys could also be better. But realistically, the offensive line has a lot of room to grow. This isn't me, and when I talk about them being the biggest concern, or Adam does it, or anyone else does it, it's not us saying that they can't be good. It's just saying that based off last season, there is room for improvement, just like there is everywhere else. And so it'll be interesting to see how good this Colorado offensive line does. Luckily, which I brought this up yesterday, TCU's defense line is super inexperienced outside of a couple guys. So, and they lost 60% of their guys, that 60% of their sacks production last season. So there's a chance that Colorado could kind of build some confidence, block some freshmen and some sophomores, and kind of take advantage of the fact that these guys don't have experience. It's not me saying that they're bad. It's not me saying that this Colorado team is bad. It's me saying that last season, these guys did not grade well. Obviously, they were all in different systems. Obviously, they didn't have the tutelage that they do now. So there's tons of improvement to be had. It's just saying that this is my biggest concern. It's Adam for 24/7's biggest concern. It's a lot of people's biggest concern about Colorado. You have to have a concern about your team. No team is perfect. Even Georgia has a team that's won back-to-back titles. They have questions about their team. So you can't get upset that there's questions about your team. Realistically, you want them to be able to block for Shedeur. Most of them had decent pass grades. It was the run blocking grade that was concerning. So that means Alta McCaskill and Kavosi Smoke, they're going to have to work extra hard to get some yardage if those grades hold up. So that's okay. It's not great, but I mean, I'd rather them be good in pass protections than not being able to block for the pass, and then we can only run the ball or whatever it may be. So there's room for improvement. That's all I'm saying. We will see how good they do. I hope we see those grades go up, but realistically, the numbers are there. This offense line unit does not grade as well as you guys would like to think they do. They have some size, because I know a lot of the times you guys bring up size. Weight for Savion is 320. Gerard is 315. Landon's 300. Landon Beebe, that is. Tyler Brown, who we don't know, but like I said, we don't know about his status, 310. Jack Bailey's 280, and then Tommy Brown's 330. So they have some decent size on the line. Just all about putting things together. And they have basically, they're going to be running out 5 new guys, because also Van Wells started 9 games last season, and Gerard has 14 career starts or games played at the offensive line during his time at Colorado. So there's a lot of experience to be had. I would say this group at the Power 5 level is Gerard Christian as a junior that's played in 14 career games across the offensive line, has done most of his damage on special teams, and then Van Wells played in 9 games as a freshman. So Van Wells, great experience. Gerard has some experience. Improvement to be had, growth to be had, and that's okay. There's growth to be had everywhere. The quarterbacks are going to make mistakes. The receivers are going to make mistakes. I was just telling you guys, and I don't want you guys to be shocked or upset. They have some growth. There's some room for improvement, which that's okay. Before we move on, I need you guys to know that this episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Game Time, our new sponsor, one of my favorites. Going to sporting events are always stressful. Maybe it's a last minute thing, or maybe it's like you want to go to this game really bad and it's just super expensive and you don't really want to pay an arm and a leg to go to a game to get good seats. You don't want to go to a game and sit in the nosebleeds and still pay a fortune. Buying tickets to your favorite event should never be stressful. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets, their best price guarantee, you could stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun you'll have. Me personally, I use Game Time only for sporting events I went to. I went to a Laker Warrior game with my girlfriend. We used Game Time, got some great tickets that on other websites were going for maybe $500 to like $700 more. And also, you have a chance to click on the seat and you get to take a vantage point of where you're sitting and what it looks like from that point of view. Like I said, you get the lowest price guarantee and then event cancellation protection and job loss protection. So it's great. Game Time is the place for last minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Get your Taylor Swift tickets on there. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. You get images of your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Snag the tickets without stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Okay, we talked about concerns for the offense, concerns for the team. The offense line, I'm not trying to rag on them. I'm not trying to consistently dump on them or whatever. It's just, like I said, the grades are the grades. The proof is in the pudding. They can improve. That's a new offense. They have better coaching than they probably all had before, except for the guys that came over from Kent State. They have the same coaching. They have better coaching, better resources, and better everything. So they can improve. It's just last season, I was going based off the numbers. That's why it's a concern. You have a hodgepodge of guys coming together who are somewhat they're inexperienced at the Power 5 level and they're unproven at whatever level they came from. That's all I'm saying. But regardless, one thing that we do know about Colorado is they have a hot commodity in Travis Hunter. Recently, the AP poll released their preseason All-Americans. So as you can imagine, I'll just run down through the list. Quarterback, Caleb Williams, USC. I think he's the best player in college football, regardless of position. Running backs, you got Blake Corum from Michigan and Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss. Both two talented running backs. Quinshon Judkins was a star as a freshman last year, and Blake Corum is probably one of the best, is in Michigan's best tandem. They got great receivers. Receiver, speaking of, Marvin Harrison, Emeka Ogbuke, and then they're both from Ohio State. Roman Dunze from Washington. Offensive tackle, Joe Alt from Notre Dame. Cooper Beebe, Kansas State, and Zach Minter, Michigan are the guards. Cedric Van Pran from Georgia. And then tight end, you got Brock Bowers from Georgia. All-purpose, Travis Hunter. I'm telling you. When they talked about Travis Hunter, he said the highest rated of 50 newcomers in Colorado's top-ranked transfer portal class and figures to play both receiver and corner for the Buffs this season. He'll be spotlighted player nationally in next week's opener at TCU. Realistically, I talked about Travis on a handful of occasions, but just in case you missed it, he has the type of skill set, impact, and importance to this team where if he balls out this season, he could be the difference between Colorado winning 1 or 2 games. Obviously, when you're a receiver or a corner, it's kind of hard to have that impact, but maybe he forces a couple sixes. Maybe he makes a few great plays on offense that we're just not getting from the other Colorado receivers, whatever it may be. Travis Hunter is that guy. I think the more success he has, the more it helps the program. The more it helps the program, the easier it is to recruit, the easier it is to attract other top transfers and stuff like that. So Travis Hunter is going to be a key piece of this Colorado offense and defense. Yeah, very excited. Not surprised that he made this. Also, the ultimate 2-part college football preview is on Locked On College. Locked On Pac-12, excuse me. Locked On Buffs, we were kind of contributing in a way from afar. Wasn't able to record, was able to provide some input. So it's available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day, so go check that out. It's available on my show site and every other Locked On Pac-12 show. Even if you want to do Locked On SEC, Locked On Big 12, they have them. So go check it out. A lot of great work, a lot of great talent, all coming together. So yeah, back to Travis. He's a game breaker. He's a star in the making. Coach Prime said that he was better than he was at this age, which is pretty high praise considering Coach Prime has a gold jacket and is one of the best football players to ever play the game. You have to be excited about what Colorado's building. And I think when you look at what they're building, you look at Travis Hunter. I think he's going to be a model of what this program is. I think the more success, like I said, the more success he has, the more success the program could have in attracting top talent. We've seen Colorado be in the top 4 or 5 for Charles Lester, Kai Bates, and other guys. And they picked the other schools. They picked Florida State. They picked LSU. And the difference between Colorado not getting those guys and getting those guys is someone like Travis Hunter having success at this level. So you guys want to see Travis succeed. I think he'll be an All-American by the end of the year. I think he'll be an all-purpose first team type of guy again. You just have to love the fact that he chose to play for Coach Prime again. You have to love the fact that he's willing to put in the work. He's willing to because a lot of guys, they might not want to play 2 ways. They might want to be like, you know what, I want to focus on my draft stock. I'm going to play corner in the NFL, so I want to focus on that. And Travis is willing to play both positions, and he's willing to ball out of both positions. And like he says, he loves to embarrass people, and I think he's going to be embarrassing a lot of receivers and a lot of defensive backs for the next couple seasons. So that's exciting. Before we move on, I wanted to tell you guys what we're going to conclude the episode with. Matt Rhule talked about Coach Prime in a positive manner. I think this is the first time on the show where I've had another coach outside of Urban Meyer, who I guess he's a former coach, talk highly of Coach Prime. So I'm going to talk about that when we come back. So we're back. We're talking about Matt Rhule, the Nebraska head coach. They play each other week 2. I previewed that game. I think it was last week, when I was in South Dakota on vacation with Caleb Henry from a radio station in Nebraska that covers the team closely. We're going to be talking about right now what Matt Rhule said. I think, and I talked about this with Caleb. There's a rivalry with Colorado and Nebraska, yes, but there's been extra rivalry made by fans more so about Matt Rhule and Coach Prime. I think there's going to be that animosity that they coach at opposite programs or whatever it may be. But there's been some things that I guess have been blown out of proportion, according to Caleb, that he thinks that fans are making it more of a rivalry, more of a personal thing between Matt and Coach Prime. So let's dive in what Matt Rhule had to say on a recent appearance with the Herd, some Colin Cowherd show. Said, I'll be honest with you. I followed it from afar, because they do such a good job of filming everything. I think it's good for football right now. College football just can't be like in the Southeast and a couple schools in the North. It's got to be what Lincoln Riley is doing at USC, which Coach Sanders is doing in Colorado, hopefully what we're doing in the middle of the country. Like this has to be a nationwide thing. You could tell that Deion and his staff, they're going to recruit. They're going to recruit relentlessly, and they're going to have their team ready to play. It'll be a great game when he's talking about the Colorado versus Nebraska game. It'll be a great game. We'll be on national TV. I think that's pretty cool for the game. So yeah, he obviously said that what Colorado and Coach Prime's doing for Colorado is great. Because yes, if you guys aren't aware, conference realignment is still ongoing. It's basically trending towards the Big Ten and the SEC being the last 2 conferences standing. So you want other programs and other regions to find success. Obviously, USC is going to be in the Big Ten. but I think in 5 to 7 years, we're going to have a West Coast conference again. Obviously, we already have a WCC, but I'm talking for Power 5 football. We're going to have a conference based out of the West Coast, and we're going to kind of revert, but that's my prediction. Either way, I think it's nice of Matt Rhule to come out and say this. I think Coach Prime is kind of taking a lot of heat, and not that Coach Prime needs it, because I think he doesn't really care about what anybody has to say. I think it's good for people around college football to see other coaches praising him for what he's doing, because a lot of it has been hated on, spoke down about. And so to have another coach kind of praise him for the attention, the effort level, his recruiting, that's big. Colorado is putting in a ton of effort. They're going to have a very fascinating season. They're going to have one of the most watched, most written about, most covered seasons. And I'll have you covered every step of the way here on Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, my everydayers. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day and commenting your thoughts and whatever it may be. You guys have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Next week, it's game week, week 1. You guys have a great day.